Good morning. Welcome to Sunday Civics. Thanks for tuning in or watching the replay if you do that on Facebook. Thanks for joining us. Always the best hour of my week to talk about civics and to talk about anything we have to focus on something. So we're focusing on one city because the entire world knows the name Niagara Falls. They might not know the city. They might not know, anything about the city, but they definitely come here. They want to come here and everybody knows about it. So it makes it easier to focus on a, on a somewhat boring topic such as civics if we pick an exciting place like Niagara Falls that everybody knows about. Anyway, so every week we talk to people, and this week we're going to talk to a city councilman, but he's not a city councilman. He's had a long, productive and specifically focused career in public service. And I hope at least to talk to him quite frequently, not every week, but at least every month, about just how we got here, wherever it is. How did we get here? Where might we be going? So we want to bring in Councilman Frank Soda. He is councilman by appointment and agreement that he wouldn't, or acknowledgement that he wouldn't run for re-election in this coming election. He just was going to fill out the term of vacancy, lend his expertise and lifetime of experience to the council. Sounds like a good thing. I don't know. Sounds like a perfect thing that the council did. So, Frank, you joined us this morning, a Cleveland Browns fan on Sunday, long-suffering Cleveland Browns fan, which must be a long-suffering city councilman maybe. But thanks for joining us.
Yeah, you're welcome, Tom. It was my pleasure. Thanks for the invitation.
I always get a ham-handed introduction because I forget everything I would know about anybody, but is some of that true, at least in your long career? Can you just give us a little brief update on your, how you got to here? I mean, what'd you do for your life?
Okay, I spent 41 years teaching high school students in 3 different locations. I graduated from the former Bishop Duffy High School, went to Niagara University, and then got hired back by my old high school. And I taught there for 8 years. And then I moved on to the Park School in Amherst for 10 years, and then joined the Niagara Falls City School District and spent 23 years there. And then I did some part-time teaching at Niagara University and Erie Community College City Campus. And I've been officially retired from teaching for about the last 8 years.
What did you teach? I'm sure you teach many things.
History, most of the time history, but toward the end of my career, economics and government.
That is right up my wheelhouse. I love that topic. I think we're going to talk for a long time, or a lot of times. So do you think civics is a valid thing to start studying? This is like a softball. I'm saying, hey, you agree, right?
Well, there's an issue. I mean, from my perspective, when you say the word civics, I immediately think of the rights and responsibilities of citizens within our form of government, constitutional democracy. When you say the study of civics, then I'm thinking of, okay, some kind of analysis, some kind of examination, some kind of analysis of how citizens implement their rights and responsibilities and how that activity impacts on the lives of other citizens. When you say civics education, there's where the controversy comes in, because that becomes very subjective. I suspect that civics education in New York is probably very different from civics education in Texas or Louisiana or Mississippi. And I don't mean to be pejorative in that. It's just the perspective is different. And so I think civics education, while necessary, is a real controversial subject and could, in many instances, probably evoke the most citizen concern.
I think what interests me is civics in practice as well. Everything you said, but civics in practice specifically, and then in one community just to focus. So you can have the rights and responsibilities, and that's a nice discussion, but what really happens? because what's really happening is where we are. And we kind of saw the last 5 years a real upheaval in what people believe, maybe the last 30 years with the Tea Party, of the real upheaval of what we believe and what practice and what happens. That's what interests me lately. I don't like all the textbook jargon because that's not happening on the street type of thing. That's where the rub for me is.
Yes, I mean, you can definitely see if you want to say civic involvement, people who are civically aware and more civically involved, there is definitely what you just mentioned, a very distinct polarization. There doesn't seem to be any middle ground anymore. It's whatever my positions are, there are people who have the distinct opposing position that's really 180 degrees in the opposite direction. We don't seem to be able to find a middle ground.
And a lot of times, I use the Titanic as just a bad example, but they build ships with compartments so that if you strike something, you shut it off and the boat doesn't sink, right? That's what I learned from the Titanic. Unfortunately, that boat sank. But, that's a good system. You build compartments so nothing sinks. However, there's not a culpability anymore. So, we have, not in the falls, let's just talk civics in general, but we might have a city council and a mayor and a planning board and then an alternative planning board and then a committee, and nobody claims the decision to not pave streets type of thing. It's not my fault, I did it. And I'm like, no, but it's got to be somebody's not fault. But whose choice is it to pave 3rd Street and not 4th Street? It's not a culpability thing. You have a job, you cut the grass or you don't, you pave a street or you don't, and that's all I care about. You should love your job. You should be proud of what you did. Who did it? It shouldn't be a mystery as to who did it if you like your job. I mean, and we shouldn't jump down the throat of the person who did it. I only had enough money to pave 3rd Street, not 4th. Live with it. I mean, that's the civics that interests me, at least. And you've lived that life.
Yeah. This is my 3rd time on the city council. I got elected. I campaigned for city council and got elected in 1985 and served a term. I didn't run for re-election. And then when former city councilman Vincent Morello passed away unexpectedly in 1998, they asked me to fill the vacancy until they could organize a special election. So I did that. And then this year, when Councilman Tuma resigned in order to pursue a career path within the school district, they asked me if I would fill in again, since the elections were already scheduled for this year and Councilman Tuma had determined that he wasn't running for re-election. So I said yes, but I can see the distinct difference in the way the city council operates as opposed to when I first was elected. When I first was elected, it was a different form of government. The mayor was part of the city council. It was 4 councilmen and a mayor, and the mayor was chairman of the city council. And I have to say, the city council was much more engaged in governing than it is today.
What year is that about? Where are we, in the 70s, 80s? What year was that?
When I was on the city council?
Well, that form of government. Yeah.
Well, it from the very beginning of the city up to 1988. When I got elected,
88. Okay.
Anthony Corano and I got elected in 1985, and the new city charter was approved by the voters in 1985. And so what was left were the terms of the existing councilmen in 1986 and 87. And 1987 was the first election for a strong mayor. And 1988, Mayor Michael O'Loughlin moved from the council into the strong mayor, and that's where we've been ever since.
Thank you. Right. Okay, so you were going to say it was much more council engaged when there was 5 of you and 1 of you was mayor.
Well, yeah, because any 3 votes determined the fate of the city manager. The city manager served at the will of the city council. And Mr. Corano and I got elected at a time when there was a lot of volatility in the council, a lot of turmoil, and a number of city managers hired and fired within a very short period of time. And I think the voters reacted to that. Plus, they adopted the new city charter that year. So when the mayor moved into a strong mayor form of government and the council became a purely legislative function, I think you have a full-time mayor and a part-time city council. And I think the city council collectively over the years lost sight of the council as an institution, as a governing body. And what I've said to my colleagues, it seems like councilmen now are more like customer service representatives dealing with constituent concerns as opposed to working as an equal partner in government with the mayor.
That's a very good description. That's exactly what it seems to be. And you have no staff, right? So I worked in Albany and we had staff. So the assembly and the governor were equals because we could hire experts and you could hire experts and we could argue. You got nothing, right? It's 5 customer service reps and a paid staff and a paid mayor.
Yeah, there's no full-time staff. There's no full-time staff for the city council. And the city charter prohibits the council from directing the activities of city employees. If you want information, that's one thing. You can get information, but you cannot direct their activities. And if you want detailed information, then you have to go through the city administrator, and the city administrator, contacts the specific department and provides that information for you. So there's a significant time lag. So you have to learn to do your own research and find your own source of information. Now, that doesn't mean that the council couldn't put money in the budget for the kind of professional consultants and assistants that you're talking about. That's possible.
Mm-hmm. So, whenever we talk about changing things, it seems to be an act of God to pass an amendment in Congress or that kind of thing. What was the mood in 1987 to change the form of government? Was it just, who cares? Let's do it. And my question would be, should we go to 5 districts instead of 5 citywide races? Like, would that be an act of God and the whole city would implode? Like, if we have this change of government discussion, what was it like in 87 and what might it be like today?
Well, a lot of it, I think in 1985, when the city charter was put on the ballot, had to do with the instability of the council at that time, hiring and firing several city managers within a very short period of time. One individual was nominated but never appointed at the time. And so there was a citizen perception that the lack of direction in the city was directly due to the council's meddling with the management style. And in 1985, there was still a large corporate presence in Niagara Falls, and corporate leaders were very critical of the city council's performance. So I think voters were frustrated and they wanted to try this new form of government. In the past, there have been attempts to break the city down into district representation for city council. There was even a lawsuit years ago that went to federal court, and there's been no attempt to put a referendum on the ballot for city council districts. And I think now, when I was on the council in the 1980s, there was between 75,000 and 80,000 people in Niagara Falls. Now there's about 48,000 people. And I think Niagara Falls is a small enough city that if you run for city council, you ought to be familiar with all the various neighborhoods in the city. And it's not that difficult to get to all the different neighborhoods to campaign in person. Retail politics is still the best way that someone gets elected in Niagara Falls.
You mentioned an interesting thing where you used to have corporations in the city and corporate leadership and some direction, and that's kind of gone, right? What's replaced it, if anything?
There was a local businessman who probably gave the best explanation of what you just asked. And he said that in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s, a lot of the elected officials in Niagara Falls were middle management from the corporations. And the best example I could use would be former State Senator John Daly, who came from Kimberly-Clark. He was a middle manager at Kimberly-Clark, had one term as a city councilman, didn't run for re-election, eventually ran for the state assembly, and then moved on to the state senate and moved on to director of transportation in New York State. After the corporations moved out, after all the corporate headquarters that were in Niagara Falls left, after their production facilities left, this gentleman, this local businessman said, we lost the corporate leadership, and Niagara Falls was left to its own devices to look to its own citizens to come up with that governmental leadership. And I guess his assessment was that the citizens of Niagara Falls didn't provide the same level of understanding and expertise that the corporate people did. I don't know how true that is, but you look backwards in time and maybe you could make a case for that argument. I don't know.
Well, there is an answer. I don't have it, and we're discussing it, off the cuff. But I did read an article this week, which led me to believe that what's replaced the corporation leadership are developers. Now, this was an article about Buffalo, India Walton, Byron Brown, that whole thing. I can see that in Niagara Falls too. I guess we can see it in lots of places. I mean, we had a developer as president for 4 years. So I think that's something that the history books 30 years and 50 years from now might target as what's kind of replaced corporate leadership. It's just land speculators and developers.
Well, we haven't seen that in Niagara Falls. We haven't had the people who have, most of the development has been in the hospitality industry, the tourist and hospitality industry. We haven't seen those individuals run for public office. I think what happened, and we're just trying to recover from that, is the instability that led to possibly my election and the election of Councilman Carano in 1985. I think that instability was replicated after Michael Laughlin left office. Niagara Falls went through 4 one-term mayors between Michael Laughlin and Mayor Paul Deister. And I think those 16 years of one-term mayors did a lot to damage the perception of Niagara Falls as a stable place to do business, or a place that you should invest your time in terms of public service. And I think those 4 one-term mayors and the turnover among the city council, I think really did damage to what you would call your view of civics. Mm-hmm.
We're already out of time. I apologize. But one thing I say is Niagara Falls could be X, fill in the blank, a big place, like big, important development. Do you agree? Where do you think it's headed, or where could it be headed if we take the blinders off and it could be anything we want? You're the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain. Where could it be just a little bit cleaner, a nicer Batavia? Could it have 50,000 instead of 48?
Yeah, I think Niagara Falls could make incremental progress. For Niagara Falls to, at my age, I'm in my mid-70s, so if you take my generation and we remember the 1950s, it's kind of through rose-colored glasses. Niagara Falls was already in a state of decline after World War II. And so the Power Authority, the Power Project that occurred from 1957 through 1961-62, it brought 10,000 construction workers and their families to the city. That size city, that 100,000 population would have never occurred naturally. So Niagara Falls is never going back to a city of 100,000 people. It could have a major impact economically. I think if Niagara Falls could figure out how to reinvent itself. Niagara Falls was always, the falls was one thing, but it was carbon in the chemical industry that made Niagara Falls, and the aircraft industry. My friends, when I was in grade school and high school, their families owned motels on Niagara Falls Boulevard, and that was a seasonal business. That wasn't a career in the 1950s and 60s. The hospitality industry didn't become a career until urban renewal, until the opening of the convention center in 1972. So try not to take up more of your time with those answers.
No, I can't let you go, but I have to kick you off. I
Right.
mean, I apologize. I learned our entire 20 minutes was educational for me, and I can't say that about every 20-minute conversation I have. This was fantastic. Thank you very much.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you for the invitation.
Although it's all about me and I'm always right, so you're wrong about several things, but no.
Okay.
We'll hash that out as our life goes on.
Okay. Thank you.
Have a wonderful day. Go Browns. You should be able to beat Houston. If you can't, I'm not having you on again.
Okay.
So,
I don't expect that.
have a great Sunday. All right, that was Councilman Frank Soda. Again, I hate to say Councilman Frank Soda because that's a long, storied career, and not even gilding the lily there. I had no idea of the strong mayor system. I know that term, strong mayor, but I had no idea that only in 1985 this happened, that the council was 3 members or 4 members and a mayor. They were all on the council. They worked together. They all had the same information. Fast forward to today, which is not that far from 1985, and it's not that. It's a strong mayor, a weak council. I loved the term 5 customer service reps because that's what it does seem like. We talked earlier this year about cutting the grass. These 5 people take all the complaints and have no ability to cut the grass. Wow, that was an enlightening 20 minutes. Okay. But we move on because, as Frank Soda pointed out, civics is many things, and it's an important study. I don't view it this way all the time because it's in practice. Civics in practice is a much different thing, and that's what interests me. So what really happens outside the textbook? And campaigns and elections are a big part of civics. You cannot govern unless you get elected. So we're going to bring in a person that elects people for his entire life. This is all David Pfaff has done, is elect people to office. It is how he feeds his family, how he has paid his bills for a long time. So we want to ask those kinds of people that do this for a living. How do you get elected? How does it happen? And one of the things that is happening now to me, because I had some experience in this field as well, is this India Walton. I'm going to say the India Walton phenomena because she rocked my psyche of how to get elected. She beat a 16-year incumbent, ostensibly very popular, looked like central casting, an attractive candidate, had millions of dollars, and had the Buffalo News channels 2, 4, and 7 basically in his corner. They would not talk to India Walton. They would not. They ignored her. They only provided Byron Brown a platform. She won. She won because she talked to people. She talked to people on the internet, in social media. Social media has been around for a long time. I'm just catching on to the fact that a nobody from nowhere beat the biggest candidate we have in all of Western New York. How? By talking to people on the internet. So anyway, there's Dave right there in his beautiful kitchen or foyer. Where are you, in the dining room?
Dining room.
In a beautiful dining room. Anyway, hey, thanks for doing this. I really appreciate it. You don't need
Never a problem.
This is 100% for me, and I apologize, and I'm going to owe you for something. You never collect, but I mean,
Right.
it's all about me. So thank you very much. You're getting nothing out of this. But Dave, what people are always lagging 10 years on. Like 10 years from now, people will be doing internet debates and internet conversations like it's nothing. You have to do it. Today, I'm not going on the internet. I'm not doing this. I'm not, and it's just like, what are you, crazy? They're doing this all over the country.
Candidates who ignore the
people.
candidates who ignore the internet are dinosaurs. They're going to go extinct at some point. You go back to Obama was very successful with it nationally. Trump did it very well nationally. India Walton did it here. Ocasio-Cortez did it because they can reach so many people, and the party apparatus doesn't realize how powerful it is. They do in some cases, but they're frightened by it.
They're frightened by it, right? Fear.
That's right. They're very scared of it because they can't control it. If you can talk to everybody, then you don't have to use me as a party chairman. I'm not a party chairman, but to get everything done and to get the vote out, kind of thing. It's very, in their own way, they're trying to control it by building their own lists of people that they can contact through the internet and through cell phones and whatnot, but it is the future. You know, he was a very interesting character, gentleman that he had on.
No, character's a compliment from
Yeah,
you.
well, yeah, I don't mean I'm a character.
It sounded bad, but if I know you, that was a compliment to Frank.
I love he's a Cleveland fan. I'm a Giant fan, as you know, but Cleveland should win. They're 12-point favorites. They're going to win. So you're going to have him back on the show. But he's a student of history, and whenever I see a new technology or a new system in politics or government being used, particularly in politics, I think of after World War I, the French army, went back to training to fight World War I. And the Germans were like, we lost. We want to find a way to win this next battle against these guys. And they adopted the technology of tanks and planes and the blitzkrieg, and they were successful. And establishment candidates, well, we always did it this way, so let's always do it that way. Yeah, that's not how it works. You miss a great opportunity. I'm involved in numerous campaigns quietly, usually. I don't want to be out front, but I encourage them. I said, build your technology, build your ability to get on the internet. You have a chance to debate. If you're afraid to debate, by the way, you're missing great opportunities to contact people.
That's my thing. That's my thing.
I'm a door-to-door guy. I believe in door-to-door, but at 7:00 at night, it's getting dark and you can't talk to anybody else. You better get on a screen and start chatting with people. We used to have people make phone calls from 7 to 9 because you have to reach out. We've got to keep talking to people.
This is the equivalent. Yeah.
You have to keep yourself in front of the voter, because the voter's the one making the decision. The party apparatus, and I mean on both sides, they really would rather look, let us just get our vote out. We don't want to alert anybody else. We don't have to convince new people. That's crazy. I just want the same people to vote for the guy that I voted for, vote again.
Yeah. And you've worked with a lot of candidates too, where they're not good at first, but the more they talk, the more they debate, they like it. This is what they do. They blossom. If you're not able to blossom by debating people, and debate isn't a negative, dirty thing. It's a positive conversation about what you believe in. If you can't do that, you don't deserve to be elected. We would not have had Mario Cuomo. Forget Andrew Cuomo. He's tainted the name. Mario Cuomo was a fantastic human being.
Superb debater.
We don't have him if Ed Koch doesn't agree to debate him 8 times, right? Anywhere, anytime. We don't really even have Abraham Lincoln if the Lincoln-Douglas debates don't happen all over the country. This gives a quality person the opportunity to become a quality person.
Which, but by the way, is why often endorsed party candidates are afraid of it, because they're just there to fill the spot. They're just there to say, what do you need me to do? How am I voting? And I hope any party candidates that are endorsed I'm not lumping you all together. I've worked with many of you. I've worked against many of you, but the bottom line is that many of you just go and say, well, what am I supposed to do?
Mm-hmm.
And when I ran party, when I was the executive director of the party, believe me, I want good candidates. I want candidates that stand on their own, get out there and because they're a credit to the whole organization. I don't need yes men.
Yeah.
There's too many of those people in the world as it is.
Yeah.
And people who are afraid, but people who don't want to debate in this format, when you have opportunities for hundreds of thousands of possible people to see you, are missing the boat. And
and you're always you tend to organic's not the right word, but you work with the same candidates for a whole career sometimes. So you want them to be good the first time they run, better the second time they run. They go for a higher office and they've built a following. Right. This is how you build a following. You get out there to the internet. I mean, it's just it's exploding your chance to become a bigger person.
I'm a student, like I said, of political history, and the Kennedys, when they first were working in the 50s and whatnot, they traveled to different states, and they actually kept on little index cards the people they met. They had enough money to hire people, but people they kept that, and they built a national network. It wasn't vast, but it was a network. Yes, that's what politics is networking. Politics is meeting people, talking. But if you don't like people, you probably shouldn't be in politics. You should probably, probably you should probably, find a White House, need somebody to man it. And that's a good job for you then. I love people, so I think it's just fun to interact and learn about them. And but the internet is the future of this, and anybody who doesn't grasp onto that is crazy. I also tell candidates that I'm working with, I said, look, if somebody won't debate you, that is a huge issue. And you have to tell everybody, they won't talk to me. They won't. I'm always like, let's set up a chair, vacant chair. There they are. This is what they are. They're nothing. They're vacant.
I was thinking this morning. Do you think when, the evolution debate, so Lincoln Douglas go all over the country and travel together in the same train to debate in certain cities.
Right.
Do you think when newspapers started holding debates, or when TV and radio came along, did people give this same kind of like, we're not trusting that, we're not going on, somebody will rig it? Do you think that was the case with
the
TV?
1960 debate between Kennedy and Nixon was the classic one.
Mm-hmm.
Nixon came in and he hadn't shaved, and he looked, it was the end of the day, and he didn't look fresh and crisp. And a lot of people think Jack Kennedy won that debate based on how, that young, forceful, new look he had, and he looked very polished. But it's an ever changing technology. I mean, and it doesn't have to be just technology. Back in the old days, the people who, you and I know a man named Tony Genovese, God rest his soul, who, taught me direct mail was the answer. Right? What was his answer? If you can prove to me that the ground is sunk 3 inches under the weight of the direct mail, I'll consider your idea that we did too much direct mail. That was when direct mail was just coming to its own. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
Today, you look at the list: India Walton, AOC. Trump's success, Obama's success. The Clintons actually very early were very, very big on using the building internet kind of thing, technology and whatnot. You have to keep growing, and the technology is it. And with COVID and with everything else, you have people that would be afraid to go to a debate, and you have people that can't get out.
Mm-hmm.
Public transportation isn't what it used to be. You need the ability to get on, and nothing against news media, but their debates they're okay, but there's the other dilemma you have with debates. You have people who manage campaigns for people, and they're like, well, we want to listen to the questions. No, you don't get a list of the questions. These people are going to ask questions. I don't know what they are. They're questions, and they're going to involve government, and they're going to involve the issues, and you don't get to control the questions.
Yeah.
I understand the candidate, the desire of the campaign managers to want to control the event. That way they can prevent their person from making a mistake. Don't make a mistake. But you don't get that.
And how many, you've been in this a long time, there aren't any wild ass questions that you can't think of, right? It's just, you're running for, say, county judge or state assembly. You know what you're talking about. There aren't any questions that you've never heard before. It's such a myth that, you have to control everything.
Well, they want to, again, that often speaks to the weakness of a candidate. If a candidate's weak, I don't want them to make a mistake. If they're just a pretty face, or they're just a name, and I know him, he's a good guy, but when Joe Macy ran, somebody said to me, "You're gonna put a boxer who's running?" And I'm like, well, he's a very bright guy, he's a sharp guy. And they're like, he's a boxer. He probably, everybody thinks of Sly Stallone, Adrian kind of thing. No, he was a very bright guy. People were like, well, he can't debate. I said, yes, he can. He's a good debater. He's very sharp and very, very clear speaker.
Yeah.
But a lot of, again, political managers get very nervous because they're afraid their candidate will, stare at the camera and go, I don't know. That speaks more to the candidate's weaknesses and why they probably shouldn't be a candidate if they don't know enough about the issues.
And 1 year ago, I did not know anything about, before COVID, I didn't know anything about this type of communication. You and I talking right now. I didn't have to come to your house. We didn't have to go to a coffee shop. This is as clear as day right now. You and I, no delay. it has revolutionized the process as much as India Walton using the process. It has changed, it's turned it upside down. You can now communicate your message. And if, like you're saying, what you're saying is if you don't have a message, you can't speak, and you don't have a moral compass, I guess you should stay home. But if you have all those things, holy cow, you can now talk to people.
You have an opportunity. One of the things we put on all our campaign mailers, lit drop pieces and all those things, handouts, is I put on, I'm always like, make sure you have a website that they can go to, and that they have videos of you, and that there's your message is getting out, because people, they're sitting there and they're going to type online and figure out and say, oh, well, that's what they stand for. That's what they, you introduce a plan, here's my 10-point plan for the city of Niagara Falls. You might get 30 seconds on TV. They're not going to tell you everything about it, but if I go and actually see that on the internet, I go to your website, I can actually see what 10 points are.
Mm-hmm.
It's the way, it's the future, and anybody who rejects it or is unwilling to participate in it is they're like the dinosaurs. They're going to become extinct.
Well, I don't mind they become extinct, sort of. The other problem is, but the other problem is they may win and ruin my place. Like I don't want them there either. That's the other thing. If you're not willing to come out and participate, I kind of don't want you to be in charge of my money or whatever the situation is.
Well, then it's incumbent upon the other candidates to say, look, let's be very clear. We're here talking because we're not afraid to talk to you, because we work for you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I mean, that would be, see, when somebody will come on a thing like an internet debate or something, I start smiling. I said, so if I called you to my office because you work for me, you're not coming in. Okay, you're out of the job.
Yeah.
I'm firing you tomorrow. You don't have a right to tell me you're not coming to work.
And it also elevates what I know from civics, and from government, is that your town justice, your town supervisor, your town are every bit or more important than the president of the United States. And if we only have debates between the president of the United States candidates, who cares? But when I can now have the same level of conversation with my neighbor who's the town councilman about something important like my trash pickup, I'm loving life. I'm like finally interacting. I don't hate my town council anymore. They couldn't pick up the garbage because X. I understand. You explained it, like I'm loving the dive down from presidential debates. I can now talk to my town councilman, right? I mean, I like that.
Government at its base level, the lower levels, village, town, county, it's core. It's the core area because that's the direct services. Yes. If my garbage doesn't get picked up, if it's a winter, it doesn't get picked up for 2 weeks, I'm probably okay. It's not going to stink too bad. In the summer, it's got to get picked up every week.
Yeah.
And I get it. It doesn't get picked up the week of, I get Tuesday garbage or Thursday garbage pickup. It doesn't get picked up on Thursday after the 4th of July weekend. I get it. The union contract pushes it back a day. Okay, it's all understood, but it's got to get picked up.
If it doesn't get picked up and they explain it to you, I'm okay with that. You've told me. If it doesn't get picked up and just sits there and no one will answer the phone, I'm kind of upset.
They just repaved my road, my block. And, I got a notice in my mailbox, little thing says, hey, we're going to be doing it. You can't park on the street these days. Okay. Everybody moved their cars. Everybody got off the street, and now I have a new beautiful road out there. It's great.
Yeah.
Well, that's the basic at the lowest level, and that's where debates are most critical. For the city of Niagara Falls, the candidates in the city of Niagara Falls, I know this is, we focus on that for civics. That's where the debates need to be heard, and everybody should be participating. Because look, if you're running for the city of Niagara Falls, I hope you have some ideas. You want to work for me, you should tell me what you want to do.
Yeah. So thankfully, there's a company that's doing that, and a company that's running. It does other things, but kind of a niche that they're going to focus on is debates and leading discussions. And I kind of like that. They're on next, and I'm going to learn how they do it. But I wanted to verify that I'm not talking in an echo chamber to myself, that this is crucial stuff. This needs to happen on steroids, not happen. And you verified that.
This is the future. And it's occurring in the present, but it is the future.
Yeah.
Just like when in the 60s TV became the future of at the national level, you had to do it. And at a certain level locally, you have to do it. I mean, a county executive is going to do ads on TV. You know me, I'm a door-to-door direct mail person. I'm sold on this. So you have to have this. You have to, and you have to be out there. And remember this is how you talk to your supporters. This is how you find new people. This is how you engage. This is how you build today. And if you want, the clearest example is look at what India did. She surprised everybody because she built her own little organization by doing this. AOC did it that way. And I mean, they both beat in their primaries very successful, good candidates who are, they were very successful. I mean, when
they were untouchable. They were untouchable.
Well, which is why it's funny. There's a football analogy. My father used to tell me, "Hey, Dave, on any given Sunday, any team can beat any other team."
Yeah.
If you're not paying attention to the future as a candidate or elected official, you are at some point somebody's going to catch you. Maybe not always, but once in a while you're going to get caught. And it's and shame on you. That's shame on you. It's
Dave. What does a Giant fan do when the game was Thursday night? What do you do on Sunday?
Well, no, I watch the Bills. Listen, Bills are my second favorite team. I love the Bills. The only time I can't root for them is when they're playing the Giants.
Yeah.
And I apologize to everybody in Western New York for that, but that's what happens when you grow up watching your team. So
wide left. We hate you forever for that.
You know what? I remember that game, and I thought to somebody said, "Who do you want to win?" I said, "You know what? I just want it to be a great game because these are my two favorite teams." And it was a great game.
It was,
I would have had no problem if it had gone right through the uprights. You know what? The Giants had beaten the Denver Broncos years ago under Phil Simms, and I'm like, okay, we got a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
If the Bills had won that one, it would have been great. I had season tickets for years here in Western New York, and I love the Bills. And go Bills today. I hope they kick butt.
Go put on your YA Tittle jersey and watch the Vikings, I guess.
My third favorite team.
Right. Dave, thanks so much. Talk to you soon.
My pleasure. Take care.
Bye-bye. All right. That was Dave Pfaff, who does, again, these when you talk to people who are in their living doing a certain thing, and it's a highly specialized thing. They know what they do to have a victory. So we loved having Dave's opinion on that. Now, technology-wise, how do you pull this stuff off? Because I'm obviously doing a podcast right now, a discussion about civics. But if nobody sees it, you're kind of talking to yourself, and that's no fun. So there is a trick it's not trick. There's a job, profession, and scientific way to do this stuff. And like Dave does it for campaigns, Councilman Frank Soda does it in his lifetime. There's a company in Niagara Falls called Gorillas Inc., which is doing everything that needs to be done. I don't even know the terms. Doing everything that needs to be done for webcasting, podcasting, whatever the terms are for all that. They've discovered a product or focused on this product for civics that has an interaction, to me at least, my wheelhouse here, of candidate discussion and getting debate. So they started this year. It's the first year they're going to do it. And they've got several lined up, and we'll bring them in now, John Restaino and Wade Van Valkenburg. And I think I get Wade's last name wrong. I don't know how I can get this name wrong every time I speak it. But they are owners of Gorillas Inc. and know how to professionalize and have a debate that's watchable. Because if you have a debate where the voices don't match the words don't match the actions, and nothing works. If you don't have something that's watchable, no one will watch it. And then if you don't get it out there so somebody watches it, they won't watch it. So we've got John and Wade are on the screen right now. John's got the hat on, but I just met Wade this year, and there's an actual business term. I went to business school and economic school. There's an actual business term, something along the lines of, with your hair on fire. When I met Wade at a coffee shop, that is the first thing I thought of. This guy knows what he does. He knows it. He knows it like I'll never know it. And you just get that feeling at some point. So I've never told him that before. Hopefully I'm not embarrassing him, but that's Wade. And John, I just know John. John's just John. He has the talent for lots of things. But Wade has a specific talent that is, I can't pinpoint. It's rare. It's kind of like Dave before. when you meet somebody that knows something that you'll never have the same skill at, you just have to bow down and like them. So anyway, Wade and John, thanks for enduring that long introduction.
Thanks for that awesome intro.
Well, it was truthful. I don't know if it was awesome, but it was truthful. So it's campaign season. That's either good or bad. I love it. It's like football season. But part of campaign season to me is communication and finding out what candidates really stand for. And if you talk to somebody long enough, their true character comes out. And I love that. If you listen to John Kennedy long enough, if you listen to Lyndon Johnson long enough, those are extreme examples. But if you don't, if you see somebody that runs and hides and doesn't ever speak, that's the person you're going to get as a judge, as a town person, as a county executive. And that's a very important part of civics, because once they're in, we just saw that once a president's in, they rule the roost. Once a governor's in, Andrew Cuomo was in a lot of cases, a very difficult governor. So it matters how you get there. Anyway, you guys have latched on to this thing, which is civics minded to me, of running debates online. What's that all about? John, maybe you can tell me.
Well, it's the biggest thing is the debate part of it, which is what I do more than Wade. Wade is involved in that too, but like it's all the same. It's categories, it's questions, everything you would think of that would happen at the local high school, but we're just going to put it online, make it look great, have them interact, get thousands of people to see it instead of only the 60 that are in the building, and it brings that message that I would hope they'd want the candidates to the entire, not only the entire city, but geez, the entire world. And so that's kind of what we do with that part of it. It's really, that part is something that everyone should be able to do. Then because you could just do that, like I say, at the local school, but then you add Wade to it. And my partners also, Brian Myers and Jeff Weber. Now these guys bring it to a whole nother level. And this is where I'm going to ask Wade, because Wade, you produce everything. Explain how this technically goes, Wade, because I can't do it as good as you.
Well, I believe that, this is extremely important because civic engagement it's very important. We all live here together, and we need to look out for one another. So the producing of the shows that we do, I was extremely grateful to be working with John, as he knows so much about Niagara Falls and Niagara County that he's taught me a lot. So I wish I had him when I was nominated to run for mayor. I would have done much better, I know of, and possibly could have won the election. But basically what we're trying to do is create something for the people where there's not money just poured in. There's no money behind
this is a leveling thing, right? I didn't even think that. This levels the playing field. It doesn't matter who you are or where you are. You now can reach everybody. Oh, I didn't even consider that. This levels the economic playing field for all candidates.
Correct.
Wow.
And I truly believe the most important political office is that of a private citizen. So if we can give awareness to people in our communities, then we should hopefully be seeing some people that get elected that aren't just for strictly a corporation or something like that. They're actually for the people.
Wade, I am 1 or 2 years older than you, and I rely on, I'm older guy. I turn on my TV and I need a menu, and I still have a cable because I can't figure out how to do apps on my screen. I'm older, but you now and post-COVID have taken this world of this conversation that we're having and made it every bit as good And it will be even better than that old cable TV or television or radio, sitting around and watching the radio in Franklin Roosevelt. I mean, that's where we're headed. This has flipped the switch technology-wise of how we can communicate with each other. And then for civics, for me, is I can now live in a town and know all my candidates intimately. They can talk to me like this. It's
Absolutely.
a game changer, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Absolutely. And hopefully this is going to stop the ignorance of voters in a democracy, because it jeopardizes the security of all of us when we have elected officials who get into office who you might not really know these people are only voting according to their affiliated party lines. That's something we need to stop. And that's something that Gorillas Inc. really is trying to get done. And we, no matter Republican, Democrat, working families, conservative, I mean, my party's no longer here anymore because, you know, the big parties don't want us here. We need that engagement, so you can, I'm not the biggest fan, but so you can see more of India Walton and not just see after she gets elected who she is. We want
exactly.
that to be known well ahead of time.
Exactly. John, hey, when you've reached out, you know, I already know the answer, and don't give me any specifics because I don't care about specifics, but I
Right.
bet you meet people that are excited and people that are afraid, because it happens with anything. I'm afraid. I don't want to lose my cable TV, but after 8 months of doing something like this, and Mike Reed really pulls out all the stops, people like Wade make this easy for people like me and you. Are you finding more people are saying, this isn't afraid. I'm not afraid of this. This is fantastic. But I bet you meet some people that are scared too. So anyway, what's the reception as you build your, you know, part of this business?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, because the viewers are the viewers are always happy, man. You know, the viewers love it. The people that are going to get involved, you know, there's fear. There's fear just having them on my show, having them on going on your show, Tom. Here, there's just that fear of the technology, I guess. Some of it's control when it comes to debates. I mean, I've run into that, and I guess that's to be expected. I kind of expect it. You're going to have that. You're going to have, because I I understand, like your guest before, Dave. I mean, he explained it perfectly. There's such a fear that they can't control the format, everything, the questions. Yeah, they've even come straight out and asked for a question. What are you going to ask? And of course, no, I'm not going to tell you what we're going to ask. I can give you categories, but we're not going to tell you what we're going to ask. So yeah, and I kind of accept it though, Tom. Like I don't get mad, or I don't even get mad about the fact that people are afraid, because it's different. It reminds me, because, you know, I'm younger than you, Tom, older than Wade, but I do remember like when like ESPN, cable TV, that all started, CNN, people weren't ready. People they were kind of scared of it. I think they're scared of this. We go through some growing pains because of it. I know, like trying to get these debates going, because you got to bust through some of the real old, it's almost like religion. Like you got to break through those dogma type things about how it's supposed to be. Like, why would you want to have it virtually when we can all get together down at the high school and do it? And the answer ends up being, well, because at the high school, you can only fit 200 max, and probably you're only going to get 40, where if you come on Gorillas Inc., you're going to get hundreds, if not thousands. And that's our job then, Tom, as Gorillas Inc. We make sure everyone gets to see it. You come, we'll make sure it gets out to the thousands. So yeah, we just got to be prepared. I can't be bitter about the fact that people are scared, because you know, it's going to take time.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Thank you for fighting through that problem, because first adapters always have trouble. And I mean, the reason we're talking about it now is I'm so excited about it. I had to verify with a professional like Dave that it's real. And you guys are going to be the ones that, you know, break your kneecaps all the time until this is accepted, which will probably be about a month from now. But you guys are going through the problems, and I can't thank you guys enough for going through those problems for all of us, because this is going to be a no-brainer. by next campaign season, by 2 campaign seasons from now. And right now, it's probably a pain in the ass. You guys have other things to do, and you're doing this, also. So thank you for that. But I also remember they only do, the one at the debates you see at the high school with a little crowd. I mean, that's still 1940. The only reason somebody still does that is because it's tradition. And that's the worst reason to do anything. So this is such an exciting, as you can tell, I barely find words. I'm so excited about the possibilities of talking to more people more often about more things. There aren't gotcha questions. There's questions about how can we do this? I'm not sure. I don't know. Let's talk about it. Those aren't gotcha questions. Those are you're in charge. You're the judge. Let's figure it out.
We want genuine answers as well. We're not going to give any candidate the questions ahead of time, so them and their the people that work for them can have it all written down and sketched out for them. You're not seeing the real person there.
Two things. Wait. A reporter was talking to me last time, and they went to see a Chuck Schumer, third most powerful person in this country, and some staffer was walking through the crowd with a notebook saying, "Do you have any off-topic questions for this press conference?" Well, off-topic questions. It's a press conference. There might be a question on anything. I don't know. Wade, that is the ridiculousness of where we are today. And you guys are skinning your knees, breaking that down. Thank you very much, because what you're doing is going to be traditional only a year or 2 from now. This is so exciting. I also had a live call-in show at one time, and I had an elected official who would not come on unless they knew every question. Well, I didn't ask the questions, the callers did. It was the oddest thing. I just looked at the person like they had 3 heads.
Right.
I don't even ask the questions. What are you afraid of? You guys are in the mix of, I couldn't be more excited about what you're going to do in the next few years and starting this year. I'm sure it's going to be difficult. You're going to get, called every name in the book. Anyway, thanks ahead of time for being called every name in the book, I guess. But what do you expect out of it? Do you expect good things this season? You've got, this year.
Yeah, I mean, we're having on September 27th, the Niagara Falls City Council debate will be on Gorillas Inc. at 7:00. We're setting up a North Tonawanda mayoral debate. Those are the only 2 right now. We have other things working, but I can't say nothing. It's going to be successful. It has to be. There's no doubt it will be, because I know people, and this does scare, I know both parties and all of that, is I know young people that are watching. I know people my daughter's son's age that are watching this, that never watched it before, ever, and never would have, because there's no way in hell they're going to Harry F. Abbott School to sit there in a non-air conditioned place, and it's terrible. They're watching, man. They really are. Young people are watching, and that is a fear, I'm sure.
And if you want to be an ambassador for North Tonawanda, which is why you're running for council in North Tonawanda or mayor or whatever the office is, you're talking to the world right now about your town. What is more exciting than that? Why do you just need to fear that kind of stuff? And I know people do. I know people are nervous about stuff. Then don't run. I mean, but if you have the ability to talk. So one quick comment, personal comment was, we were talking about this show. And I think that at the time we were talking a month or so ago, the most recent Sunday show I did had like 82 people viewed it, right? It was like on Monday. And you guys were kind of smiling at each other and laughing. But you said, well, let us see what we can do. And 2 days later, it had 1,600 views. And I know what you guys were laughing about now. You know what to do. I do not. That's where you just say, I give up. This is a profession. You guys know what you're doing, or you guys and your profession know what you're doing. This isn't for everybody. I don't know that part of the profession. And I was quietly schooled, by you guys dunked on me, and it was fun. I liked it. So thank you for that. And you educated me.
Wade and I got to give my wife some credit too. I mean, Robin goes crazy with with that part of the business of making sure it goes everywhere it's got to go. It goes, and if they reject you, we send it again. If they reject, we just keep sending it. Sometimes they block us and say, "Get out of here." Okay, there's a million other places to send this stuff. I mean, we can. That's what kills me, and not kills me. It's what it's the thing. We got to, Wade, right? I mean, we got to make sure everyone realizes that if you're going to do these shows, get it out there, because so many people want to see it. And Wade, talk for once. I know we got to run,
That's
but
okay.
you're the guy, man. Technically, this is really gets in depth when we're trying to just do a 90-minute debate.
Yeah, I came into this absolutely knowing nothing about this. But I really did research. I did what just makes sense, and everything seems to be working where we are building. And I mean, I couldn't be more excited for what we have done in less than a year as a business. And when it comes to the political side of our business, where we almost have struck fear into candidates, into these people, just from being truth tellers, which is really kind of sad that people come after us so much. But like Mr. Christie was saying, it's brand new. So obviously, I guess there will be a fear, but what we're ultimately just trying to do is we want the truth to shape our politics rather than politics shaping our truth. And that's what Gorillas Inc. is all about, especially when it comes to these debates and the political side of our business.
The other thing, Wade, that strikes me too, people forget that if you don't know about something, you don't know about it. So when you send me a reminder that I should watch this show, that's not offensive. I didn't even know about it. Thank you. So getting the word out there is what you're supposed to do.
Correct.
People like me don't know that. And people like you know it, like, in your sleep. And so that's why there's a science to it as well. You have to let me know it's out there. We forget that you have to, sell it. Well, we do have to go, but hey, I want to watch the first one. When is your first debate coming up, and how do I tune in?
It's not tomorrow, it's next Monday, and the 27th at 7 p.m. Niagara Falls City Council debate, where John is going to be giving questions. It's going to be something that really is going to hopefully create precedent, where it's going to be basically we're going to try to set the bar for politics in the future, for our debates in the future, I should say.
So I'm a technology idiot. What do I do? Go to your Facebook page? Where do I go?
Go to our Facebook page. You go to our Facebook page, will be great. You'll be able to see us on other avenues as well, on YouTube and stuff like that. And hopefully by next year, you'll be seeing us on like Apple TV and Android TV, something like that, because we don't stop growing here.
Yeah, John, go.
Now, I was just going to say, Citizens United with John Rustino, that would be the Facebook page to go to. It gets shared to every single Western New York group that can be. But either way, if you're not in those groups, Citizens United with John Rustino page, you'll find it on the Gorillas Inc. page. That's where I would go, right at, and that's where it'll be. We'll be there at 7 o'clock, and we got a good setup. We watched debates from Pittsburgh to Palo Alto, and getting ready for this thing is a big deal, and it's hopefully be the best one in the country.
This reminds me exactly of like, early computer stuff where you read about Steve Jobs and Wozniak and they would drive software updates to their customers, right? That's about where we are now. And next year, as Wade just said, we're going to, you're going to be on Roku, Hulu, Apple TV. It is going to be a channel that I find, or that my grandmother finds on television, because we used to not know how to do it, but it's now so simple. It's going to be there. You're out in front, already breaking down the barriers and learning and getting better at the craft. I don't know. It's
like that little @ symbol, when that before that was on keyboards or anything like that.
Yeah.
What the hell is this? you're going to understand what this is next year.
And candidates, I'm telling you, they're going to love this medium. If not this season, next season, it is going to be the thing they do. I'm like inventing the car here and giving it to people by saying this. This is going to be what you do. Dave just said that. I mean, anyway, all right. Well, I'll be there on the 27th. What's that?
You'd be crazy not to want to be a part of it.
Do it from home. You can do it on vacation. You can do it from you can do it on the bus. It doesn't even matter. You can be anywhere and just be a part.
We can do it that way, but what I'm excited about is that you're doing it because you already know how to do it. The technology's better. It'll be crystal clear, like you're doing it for me. I just have to watch. It's fantastic.
And for the candidates, you guys don't have to show up anywhere. You can be home. You can be anywhere and participate in something that is, you would normally have to I got to drive here. I got to, whatever. Just show up.
You can do something up until 7 and after 8:30, right? I mean, it takes 1 minute to plug in and unplug and then go about your business again. This is a game changer. Very exciting. All right, I gotta go. I'm sorry. I gotta go.
It's awesome talking to you, man. Good seeing you.
Thanks for joining us today. Wait, Dave said he was the Giants fan. We had a Browns fan. What are you guys following today?
Well, John's a Bears fan over there.
Oh, Jesus.
Geez. I don't even want to say because, I'm in the Buffalo area, but I'm a Patriot fan. I've been a Patriot fan since I was a little kid playing Pop Warner football in Massachusetts. So I have an excuse. All these Bills fans out here, they say, how the hell could you be a Patriots fan? And I asked them, if you were to move to Massachusetts tomorrow, would you just become a Patriot fan? Of course not. That's what they say. So how the hell can you expect me to become a Bills fan when I've been a Patriot fan my whole life?
Well, you're very logical, but I hate it. I hate that logic. You're right. You're right. I can't argue with the logic, but I hate it. I hate it. I hate the Patriots because they beat us every year. Go ahead, John.
I'm a Bears fan in Niagara Falls, and I don't know. It was just because of Walter Payton, I guess, in the 70s. I didn't have to live there to like them. You guys all got to live places to like your teams. I don't got. You're right. I don't know what this is. I hate the team locally. But anyways, that's not it. Well, we got.
I was a fan before Brady, by the way, and before we had a Super Bowl win. So.
And that's good.
I didn't, John. Did you ever see Sal Magley play baseball? Because I meant to ask Frank Soto that, and I didn't. Did you ever actually? I don't know what year Sal Magley existed.
Yeah, no, it was in the 20s, I believe. I think he pitched against Don Larson, I believe, in the I think he was the other pitcher in the Larson, where the perfect game in the World Series.
Yeah.
I think Magley was pitching for Brooklyn, I think.
Well, this was just a softball way to give you another plug for your Friday sports show.
Oh, that's
right. You talk about Sal Magley all the live long day. Fridays at 2:00, right? Or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. We're going to be live at 2:00. The goal getters. Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you. We got to move along. Have a good Sunday. Really appreciate it.
Take your time.
Thanks.
All right.